Boba, is your
Boba,
father
is
here?
your father here?
Dad, Conway's here. Dad, Conway's dead.
Conway stinks. I don't like her. She's creepy.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bad Batch Breakdown today. I'm your host, Melissa.
But I'm the more important host, Matt. Her older brother and more wiser and well put together.
We have been over this. That has never been the case.
I'm obviously joking, but I think I'm probably not becoming very endearing with our listeners. I think that maybe they don't understand my humor and maybe they think I'm being a jerk older brother, but it's all in good fun.
Oh, just wait, you guys. Matt is going to be in my neck of the woods here in like a week.
True.
So we're going to have a very special episode coming up.
So that's actually what we should kick it off with. News. We'll be together next week. So we'll have maybe a reaction video together in an episode. That's exciting. It'll be our first episode in the same room together.
And for those who don't know, we have like 20,000 sisters. And by 20,000, I actually mean 6 girls in our family. And we're going to try to find maybe a way to incorporate them onto the show. So stay tuned for that.
Yes, definitely. I mean, we have a big family. I don't think we've ever really talked about that, but you and I are obviously siblings.
Obviously.
there's a lot of Thomases.
Yeah.
So I guess, stay tuned and we'll have some more fun stuff coming. There is some cool stuff in the works too, which we can't really talk about yet. Some good stuff. Let's tease them with that.
Yeah. We did have some pretty big,
just a couple little pieces.
It'll be so good, guys. And we got some big stuff coming. So you're going to want to stay tuned. Very exciting stuff here in the next few months. Before we get to that exciting stuff, let's just get straight into this episode. But before we do, little tidbit of Star Wars news, because we are going to keep doing that. The movie that was announced back at the Disney Investor Day, I think in November, I think it's called Rogue Squadron. I think I wasn't really paying attention as much because that wasn't on my list of like big things I got excited about. But that movie apparently is going to start pre-production in the fall. And then they're going to start shooting it in the spring of 2022, I believe. It's going to be directed by Patty Jenkins, who did the Wonder Woman movies.
God, they're making so much Star Wars content.
I know. It's kind of overwhelming. You know, like it's a little bit overwhelming, but you know, I mean, that's coming out. So that's exciting.
I'm here for it. I'm down with it.
So with that in mind, let's just jump straight into Bad Batch because we got another killer episode this week. So our summary for this week for episode 9, Bounty Lost, is the Batch embark on a rescue mission, period. That is it. That's our description.
I don't know if that's a really accurate description of the episode, though.
I didn't think
they weren't
so
really
either.
in it. It was more like the bounty hunters duel.
Yeah, I was going to say it was like Cad Bane goes toe to toe with a mysterious figure after the assay. Like you think it would be a little more descriptive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, whatever. It's a synopsis. Who cares? We're just giving you, just reminding you what it's about. Essentially, that's why we do the synopsises. But you should have watched the show at this point if you're watching this show.
That's true. And once again, if you haven't caught our reaction videos, because we are doing reaction videos weekly now, you can go watch those. Mine's up, Matt's up. Leave a comment with your theory or whatever you think is coming on the show. But with that in mind, Matt, do you want to kick us off? What were your thoughts on this episode? What did you think?
So I thought it was good. I think I liked it as much as you did. I think the last episode was way better, but this one was still good. I mean, we get like a lot of Cad Bane here, which is great. It's like nice to see him back and in action. Good world building. I think the plot points at the beginning here. Huge news, right?
Yeah, big news.
Confirms everything you and I have been talking about. We find out that Omega is Boba Fett's sister for all intents and purposes. Or just a girl version of Boba, essentially. So that's really awesome. Like, that's awesome. I love nuggets like that are thrown into shows like this. So it's great world building. So it's like, all right, now this is kind of confirming all our suspicions of how Bad Batch is kind of setting up Book of Boba Fett.
Yep.
In a lot of ways. So that is amazing. I mean, we get great action sequences here. You got Cad Bane on Kamino, I guess, which I thought looked like Cloud City. And if you look at my reaction,
I thought the exact same thing.
Ticamino, whatever it's called.
Boravio or something.
Yeah, I don't know. But he fights Fennec there, which got some really good action sequences. Great animation here. And just like a solid storyline. Like I didn't feel like we were, sometimes you get an episode of like Clone Wars or Bad Batch where it's like, all right, that was filler. We didn't really get a whole lot of information there, but it was still cool. This one, it's like they gave us nuggets of information, but also cool episode. So overall, I thought was great. However, I did like last episode more. It did kind of end abruptly for me. I thought they maybe throw something in at the end, like something a little extra. But I'm not disappointed at all. This episode was great. What about you? What did you think?
I thought it was awesome. I mean, anything with Cad Bane in it is 10,000 times more badass, and it's so good to see him back in action after 9 years of not seeing him in any Star Wars media.
Sandpaper Hands Cad Bane.
Sandpaper Hands Cad Bane.
That nickname doesn't really roll off the tongue, Hunky Rex is like easy peasy lemon squeezy, but Sandpaper Hands Cad Bane. A lot of syllables there.
Why do you think I went with suave, sexy Cad Bane? It just moves better.
He's not sexy.
Guys, if you think Cad Bane's sexy, tell me that he's sexy.
He has a sultry, rustic voice, but that's about the only thing that's kind of sexy about him. We're talking about the sexiness of a fake fictional alien animated character, but that's where we are now.
Overall, Matt, I thought this episode was fantastic. I'm with you. I said this in our episode last week. I thought we were going to get some information on Omega. We did. Her being Boba's sister, I think it's a great addition to the story. It doesn't change anything about Boba Fett, but it adds to his story and it makes him more interesting. And it really sets up the seeds for what they're going to do in Book of Boba Fett. And so I'm thrilled because now I think the potential of seeing Cad Bane and Omega in Book of Boba Fett is very, very high.
They definitely did this all on purpose. So kind of, and you and I theorized on this and we were right. And I'm going to keep saying that. Said it in my reaction video. I'm going to say it now. That's why you come to the show, because we're correct. 87% of the time, I think.
87.
Yeah, good percentage.
Yeah, it is. It's a decent percentage. It is. It's good. We've hit some pretty big plot points. If you guys haven't been watching the show up until this point, I'm kind of surprised how much we've been on point. It's been like, oh, this is tied to this. Bam, that's true. This is tied to this. Oh, that's also true. So that's very cool. But yeah, just delving into the episode a little bit, there are a few things I want to comment on and talk about. One of the first being is in the opening shot where we see Omega in her cell. So the first scene with Omega, she's in her cell and Cad Bane comes over and he introduces himself to her and he takes off his hat and he has the head plate. That was in concept art that came out last week and everybody was freaking out about it because they were like, oh, wait a minute. Did he already have his duel with Boba? Did he already fight him? Because if you watch in the unfinished reel, Boba shoots Cad Bane in the head.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily part of the story. That's just an unfinished reel.
Yeah, it's an unfinished reel, but why would they put the head plate in and make it so obvious that is a part of his makeup now?
Maybe it's a style choice. Maybe he's like, hey, I don't like showing my bald head. I'm embarrassed that I'm a balding middle-aged man or alien blue creature with red eyes. And I'm embarrassed of it. So I would like to hide it. And instead of getting Keats or Hymns or something to try to get his hair back or Rogaine, he just said, I'm going to get a cool head plate. That's a possibility.
Sure, but I don't agree. I think he already had his duel with
he could have 100%. And
I think he walked away too, alive.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we may see Boba Fett and face off with Cad Bane at some point. I think they're going to start developing like a rivalry thing with the two of them, which would be very cool. But if you'll remember last episode, I talked about Book of Boba Fett and how it's the Book of Boba Fett, right? So it doesn't have to necessarily be happening the same time period as Mandalorian or afterwards. It could be happening at any time period. So it could be doing flashbacks a lot, like it's like chapter 1. Here's Boba Fett, like, right after Order 66 or whatever. And then they go chapter 2 or whatever. And it's maybe a little bit later. Like they could jump around. There's a lot that you could do with that show. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case, but we might see that duel in live action, which would be awesome.
That's what I'm thinking is I think that their duel already happened, but I think they're going to save it for the big screen, like to actually show you in live action. This is how this duel played out. That it happened, but now we're actually going to get into it in live action. So cool too, dude. Oh my God.
How awesome was it? First of all, we haven't talked about this. I wish we did this show when Mandalorian was out because that show was like, oh God. In fact, at some point we should probably post our reaction to that last episode of Mandalorian.
Yeah, with Luke Skywalker. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was my probably second favorite Star Wars moment of all time. Also, in that same season, another good Star Wars moment is when Boba Fett comes out for the first time and he fights all the storm. That is so cool. And imagine if we have that same kind of energy, but against Cad Bane in live action.
Stop.
It'd be incredible.
It would be amazing. And what they could do is they could just I don't know how they would probably put somebody in makeup for Cad Bane, but imagine if they still got Corey Burton to do the voice. Yeah. Like just that rugged, worn Cad Bane.
That's why it's tough. Man. I think they're only going to get, and I was actually thinking about this exact thing while I was watching this episode. I'm like, if they get the same voice actor to do it, I mean, it's way harder to do it that way. Like, look at Ahsoka. What's the actress's name?
Ashley Eckstein.
Ashley Eckstein.
Ashley Eckstein.
You couldn't get her to do live action because she doesn't necessarily 100% look the part. Like Rosie O'Dawson's a great casting choice, I think. But it's tougher to go from, animation to live action than it is to go from live action to animation. Like with Fennec. Fennec's from live action to animation, and that's great, and that's so cool. And I think they're gonna keep doing stuff like that, which to me is like a super exciting artistic choice. But it may be tougher to do that with like a Cad Bane character. Like if you don't really look the part, you don't have the right stature, you don't have the right facial features, it's gonna be hard. But having just a live action Cad Bane makes me excited.
Oh God, the potential. Cool. Just the potential of it like gets me so excited. I cannot wait. If he shows up, I'm going to have a heart attack.
He will. We got to believe, Melissa. See, and look, we're right on 87% of things.
Manifest Cad Bane.
Right on 87% of things. So this is part of the 87%, I think. And we were right on a lot of stuff in this episode too, by the way.
Yeah.
You even texted me after you watched it, and you're like, we were right on everything. And we were. And I'm going to keep tooting our horns for this, because that's why you come to the show.
You get the deets.
You get the good, dirty deets and theories from us.
Your hosts. On that topic of being right, let's talk about Lama Su and Nala Se, because oh boy, were we right about them. So it turns out Nala Se and Lama Su have definitely not told the other person what their intentions are, because we find out that Nala Se is having a totally different conversation with Fennec on why she wants Omega. And we figure out that's because Nala Se is trying to protect her from Lama Su, who wants to take Omega and extract her pure DNA. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, kind of shitty thing to do, excuse my language, from Lama Su. Is that who it is? Or
Lama Su.
What a jerk. First of all, you don't need to kill her. God, there's like Terminator. And you're like, all right, well, calm down. You can still get her DNA and not have to kill her. All right. But yeah, you and I were right about this. We were like, maybe they have conflicting intentions. It is really good storytelling that they kind of misdirect you by saying there's bounty hunters after them. But we didn't know or at least didn't have it confirmed until yesterday, that they both hired bounty hunters.
Yeah.
And Fennec's trying to help. And obviously Cad Bane is working for Lama Su. So very interesting storytelling here, and intrigue, because like, why is there the difference here? Like, what is, what's going on in their relationship?
Let's talk about this for a second. Nala Se has a very matronly approach to Omega, which is very weird to me, considering the fact that in season 5 of Clone Wars, she played a big part in Fives' death. When he was like when Fives was trying to tell Anakin and Rex, like, look, the Chancellor is behind this. He was kind of going crazy because Nala Se injected him with something that was kind of making him lose all control of what was going on around him with his senses. And so I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, Nala Se seems very protective over Omega, and like, good on her. She doesn't want Omega to die. But at the same time, like, this is the same person who tried to have Fives killed. So I'm like,
yeah, that's true. Well, she is redeemable. It's not like she's murdering innocent people like Crosshair.
I don't know, because I'm still really salty about what happened to Fives. I'm so salty about that. And she's like, clearly was in on the Order 66 thing. So I'm wondering what happened that makes her want to protect Omega from Lama Su. Is it just like, oh, she got attached? Yeah,
I don't know. And that's why I'm saying this is interesting. Like, what is her motivation? We don't know. And we'll find it out. They're giving us nuggets of information.
We do need to.
But also, at the beginning of the episode, it starts, and we didn't talk about this yet. It's Crosshair chasing them. And that's the only part of the episode he's in. And he's all burned. And he's
crispy boy. Crispy bacon Crosshair.
Crispy boy, Crosshair.
Wait, can that be his thing? Can that be his thing?
Crispy boy?
Crispy boy Crosshair.
I'm down. Call him Crispy boy.
Crispy boy Crosshair. There's another one. Man, we are just knocking these out.
That's also why you come to the show, for stupid nicknames of all the characters. Welcome back to the Stupid Nicknames of Star Wars Character Show. I'm your host, Matt, and that's my host, Melissa, and we just make stupid nicknames for Star Wars characters.
Crispy boy Crosshair, hot hunky Captain Rex, suave sexy Cad Bane. I'm sticking to this.
I disagree. I disagree.
Okay,
he's not sexy. He's not sexual. He is sandpaper hands.
Whatever.
Super
But
crackly skin. He needs some moisturizer. Have a better face routine.
okay, well,
Skin routine.
whatever. But we do see Crosshair in the beginning. He is chasing them. Super short cameo, but hopefully he'll come into play in the next episode. I don't really think we expected anything of him in.
Yeah, he's a stupid loser. I'm calling him stupid loser Crosshair from now on. A stupid loser Crosshair. That's a better nickname.
On the topic of the Kaminoans, we get to see a familiar face in the form of Tanwei.
I know, and I know exactly who that is.
Do you?
That is the woman with the long neck, and she got shot.
She was also in Attack of the Clones, and Boba.
Is she the one who talks like this?
Boba, is your father here?
Dad,
Tanwei's here. Dad, Tanwei's dead.
Tanwei stinks. I don't like her. She's creepy. I mean, it was a little brutal that she got shot, but also, why was she on this like abandoned cloning building?
Lama Su sent her there.
For why?
He said, deliver the payment to the bounty hunter and retrieve the child.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. See, I wasn't paying attention enough in the episode. And that's it's hard about reaction videos is you're watching it for the first time. I'm trying to pay attention to the dialogue, but I'm also trying to give a genuine reaction and make commentary. So yeah, I missed that completely. I didn't know that's why I was like, that's kind of random, but then that makes more sense because then Fennec has the credits and then they drop all the credits, which by the way, broke my heart. You lose all this money. Bummer.
And nobody walks away happy.
No. So let's get to that part. Cool action sequences here.
Dude, I don't know who is boarding these action sequences. I don't know who is laying them out to be animated, but they're so well thought out.
Yeah, they're very good.
In fact, you don't even know who to root for. Because I was sitting there, I was like, boy, they're both so badass. And I am biased towards Cad Bane because Cad Bane is very, very cool. But they were both holding their own. And I was like, this is fantastic. I'm loving this.
I mean, you are kind of rooting for Fennec because you're like, she's actually trying to help. And we know that now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in that scene, I think you're supposed to be rooting for Fennec a little bit. I mean, whatever. Root for whoever you want. Who cares? But either way, like, great action sequences here. Really cool animation. Like, great scene setup,
it was crazy intense. That one moment where Fennec just kind of twists Cad Bane's arm behind him and then pushes it in and breaks it, and you're like, this is so awesome. Yeah. Like, it was great. I just felt like I couldn't peel my eyes away because I felt like I was gonna miss something important. It was so good.
Yeah, and you're totally right. Like, whoever comes up with these sequences deserves what do they call the Emmys?
Yeah, the Emmys. Yeah. Emmy worthy. And the environment, I thought, where Cad Bane and Fennec were fighting, I thought was just perfect for a fight like that. I don't know who is coming up with these concepts of where they're going to fight on what planet, but it was just like the clouds were sifting through the abandoned medical facility. Oh, it's just so good.
Yeah. And part of this whole scene too is right before they get there. I don't remember who says it. I think it's Fennec maybe or after she gets there, she says something to Omega about like, you can't rely on your friends. You got to do it on your own. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of see Omega like being really smart, using her intuition, like, kind of holding her own, right? Like, she escapes that on her own. And you're like, oh, okay. Like, she's very capable. Like, there's something about her that's not like, she's not a weak, helpless thing.
Child,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's able to like send a connection out to the boys, the older brothers, distracts Fennec and gets a disgusting naked alien body to fall on her. And
oh my God. That was straight out of Signs. I swear to you. You know the scene. The scene in Signs with the camera and the alien. It goes, duh, and then the alien steps out. Oh my God!
That's exactly what it was.
It was so nasty.
Area 51 vibes.
Very Area 51 vibes. That was probably the most normal, like, Earth-looking alien in Star Wars we've probably ever seen.
It's true. That creepy scene. Also good animation there. Like, I got like the Mandalorian when they're in that cloning area and you can say like the bodies in the back getting cloned or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's similar vibes to that, and I think that this show does a good job of those kind of tie-ins in general, where it's like tiny little things that just keep you on the same wavelength, like on the whole Star Wars universe feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like hard to explain, but it's just those little details here and there that's like, oh, I'm sucked into this universe. Everything kind of ties together a little bit.
On that topic of the whole cloning part of the episode, immediately I thought of Mandalorian, like you said, and making that tie in, that tiny connection Omega walks in this room. She sees all this stuff in the tank. Fennec comes in and she's like, I'm trying to help you because Lamasu has a fate worse for you than what I'm trying to do here. And going back to that line that Lamasu says on Kamino, where he's like, terminate her. I was like, wait a minute. If Omega is a pure, unaltered clone of Jango and her DNA is very, very valuable, why would you kill her after extracting it? If she's, because it's not like all of her is DNA. It's not like there's like a specific part of her that's like, oh, this part's important. But if she's like a pure, unaltered clone of Jango, why would they need to exterminate her?
Yeah, I don't know. And that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, yeah, a little harsh here, bro. Like, let's not kill her. Why is everyone trying to kill the kid? Stupid loser Crosshair, stupid loser Lamasu. Cad Bane doesn't give a hoot if she lives or dies. So it's like,
with Omega, it's really, really interesting to me because she's that pure copy of Jango. She's just female Jango, if you think about it.
Yeah, well, how is she going to tie in? That's what's going to be exciting. We're going to see a live action Omega at some point. That's just going to happen. And I said this in my reaction video, but maybe we already saw her as like an Easter egg in one of the Mandalorian episodes already. I don't know. It's a possibility. I mean, they do some crazy planning.
You know what also I picked up on? Do you remember in the episode with Rex where she looks at Rex for a few minutes and he looks a little bit confused and she goes, "You're Generation 1."
Yep.
She's the same age as Rex. She was created as this at the same time that Rex was, only she's not accelerated. So she was probably a baby when the first batch of clones were made prior to Attack of the Clones.
When the good batch was created.
When the good batch was created. And so I picked up on that immediately. I was like, oh my God, like she is Rex's age. She's a first generation.
And by the way, now we know that she's a first generation. So like my theory a couple episodes ago, she literally, like those other clones literally are her older brothers.
Yep.
It's a brotherly dynamic.
It is a brotherly dynamic, but now she has a literal brother because now we know that Boba is the alpha to her Omega. So now we have Alpha, Boba, and Omega. So we have Boba and Omega Fett. That rolls off the tongue very nicely. Omega Fett.
Omega
Fett. Recca Fett. So,
I mean, overall, look, good episode. I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm glad they had all this information. It tied in a lot of really cool stuff. And like that reveals a pretty big reveal because now we know Boba's going to be in the show at some point. You know, you can't name drop like that and have that much of a connection without having him in the show. So I think we'll see him in an episode or two.
I do think that Boba is going to show up for sure. I don't know if it's going to be. Do you think it's going to be within these last 6-7 episodes or so? Do you think that's possible? Yeah. You think he's going to show up for sure?
Or two. Yeah. I think he has to, right? Like they have all these bounty hunters involved. Boba Fett's a bounty hunter. His sister is involved in this. I think they're going to. It doesn't necessarily have to be for a whole episode, but he'll definitely have some kind of cameo, you know? We find out like how he gets his armor and stuff. Like, have we ever really figured that out?
No. And I think Clone Wars was going to explore that, but then they got cut off.
Yeah. I think they're probably going to do that now. And we're going to figure out, you know, where he gets that from, you know, and how he becomes who he is, because we really haven't seen that character development and, you know, transition.
I mean, I would love to see more in depth about, you know, how he acquired the armor, but I just don't know how much they're going to show, given that this show is about the Bad Batch, and it would be very tempting to, you know, really delve into certain characters. So I'm not saying that that's not possible.
I'm just saying maybe they touch upon it. I'm not saying they do like a whole episode on Boba. I'm saying
right.
Probably touch on it a little bit, which I think is smart. And I think that's what they should do. And I think it's likely. I think it's very likely. And by the way, our theories are correct, if you didn't know.
Matt wants you all to know that our theories are correct.
I'm right all the time. Dude, our listeners are going to hate me by halfway through. They're like, you're such an arrogant jerk.
No, we love you, Matt. I do have a fun fact for you. Do you want to hear my fun fact?
Hit me with the chips.
Did you know that Captain Rex, his name was originally slated to be Alpha? But then George Lucas changed it. He said, then you just have the A-team. You have Anakin, Ahsoka, and Alpha. So he changed it to Rex.
That's a bit of a different type of transition. Like it's kind of far away from Alpha. Why don't you name him like Bobby or something?
Isn't that interesting though is his name was going to be Alpha, but they didn't want to do that because they were like, oh man, that's the 3 A's then.
Oh yeah, I did not know that. That is really interesting. I mean, the Bad Batch is the A team though, so
They are.
I guess that kind of fit.
They are the A team.
Dun, 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 dun,
Bum,
dun,
bum,
dun.
bum. Ba-da-da-ba-ba, ba-ba-da-da-da, bum, bum.
Shush.
With that being said, do you have any other thoughts about the episode before you get to questions?
No, let's get to questions.
Questions?
Let's get to the questions
with
from
Omega and the
Omega?
bad bitch, the bad bitch.
The bad bitch, Omega.
Oh, you know what I do want to say? That last line at the end of the episode where Hunter and Omega are talking to each other in that extremely cute moment in the cockpit of the ship. Hunter looks at Omega and he goes, "You are never going back to Kamino." And I was like, and with that, we will be at Kamino at the end of the season.
100%. I said this in my video too. I'm like, dude, you're promise. He's like, I promise you'll never get hurt again. And I'm like, bro, you lost to Cad Bane. You got shot. So you're not really in a position to promise Omega anything. Because guess what, dude? You couldn't protect her before. And I'm like, dude, let's see, because she's going to have some more problems.
Oh, yeah. In the future. Yeah, this is only the beginning of their problems. I just thought that was funny when he was like, you're not going to go back to Kamino.
Hey, spoiler alert. We are going back to Kamino. 100% we're going back to Kamino.
I thought that was funny. I don't have any more thoughts. I mean, obviously the episode was kick-ass once again. I wouldn't expect anything less from Lucasfilm Animation, but I'm loving what they're doing. So with that in mind, let's get to the questions because we do have some interesting commentary this week. So our first question is from Zukong24. Hello, Zukong24. And Zukong24 says, could Boba and Jango have known about Omega? If not, what would Boba do? You don't think they know?
No. And that's why it's like, if they did know, it's not as interesting, right?
Right.
Like as a storytelling device, I think it's more interesting if Boba doesn't know. And if Jango doesn't know.
They could have just created, so Omega, going back to the Kaminoans contingency plan, the Kaminoans just could have created Omega under wraps, you know, because she was created at the very, very beginning when Jango was still alive. And then they just held off on telling him because of what she could offer them in the future.
Yeah, and that's what I think it is. I think the Kaminoans are being a little sneaky gooses, and they're just not telling people. So good question. It's a good thing to bring up.
I don't think they know.
I don't think they know. I don't think they know.
And I think it's going to be kind of a shock to Boba. I don't think that they know. So Julie _Ali says, will Hunter's promise to Omega be broken? Yes, it will.
1,000%. I even said this. Like, my initial reaction was, "Hey, that's not true.
You lost to Cad Bane."
Yeah, you lost, and you're gonna probably lose her again. So yeah, no, his promise is definitely getting broken.
I think it's gonna get broken, and we'll have like a dramatic moment between the two of them where she's like, "You promised this wouldn't happen." You know, I could see something like that happening.
Yep.
Next question. I don't know how to pronounce some of these names.
Put it
so
on the
if
screen.
I
give it your best shot. I want to hear you butcher the name.
Okay, so I apologize in advance. But this question is from Aidster.
Hey, the Aidster. What's up, Aidster? It's like someone named Aiden. You know, hey, it's the old Aidster.
Aidster _ says, maybe Omega is so special not because she has the last original DNA, but because the Kaminoans found a way to make a clone force sensitive, and she is.
What do you think?
I think she's definitely the next stage of clones, which are going to be better than the initial batch with Jango. So I think it's quite possible that they're trying to manipulate like the midi-chlorian count, possibly, in her DNA. Like maybe that's why they want to extract her DNA, to kind of mess with the midi-chlorian count and make it higher to offer force sensitive clones to the Empire to ensure their future when it comes to their income and try
Their
to screw with
viability, their
craft.
business plan. They're
Their business
entrepreneurs. They
plan,
want to
yeah.
keep the biggest client, essentially, is what it is. Who else does the Kaminoans clone for? Anybody else? Or is it just the Empire? Like, if I was a planet, all right, I'm Alderaan or something, I would spend all my money on clones. I'm like, give me I want the biggest lion army, or give me an army of, whatever, Greedo race people. I don't know what his race is, but give me a lot of soldiers. But like, we get the impression here that the Kaminoans are only cloning for like the Empire, or
maybe they only have like a contract. Maybe it's like a contract where it's like, you are only going to do this for us, or we're going to terminate you guys.
Terminate you.
Terminator.
Just like we terminated Omega.
I still think there's potential for Omega to be force sensitive, but I could also see her not being force sensitive and them wanting her DNA to mess around with it and make it force sensitive by raising her midi-chlorian count.
Yeah, it's interesting. Aidster, sorry if we're butchering your name, but it is an interesting question, which I think we'll find out. We're getting nuggets in, episode to episode, but I do think there's some force sensitivity aspect to this. As I mentioned last week, that's what keeps the relationship between the Empire and the Kaminoans good, and it gives them something extra to offer. So
yeah,
we'll see. I think we'll find out very soon.
Next question is from Jib, and Jib says, for a second, I thought that Fennec was working for Boba to get her away from the Kaminoans.
Yeah, I said that too in my video. I was like, oh, maybe she's working with Boba to get her away. No, but I mean, we obviously found out. No, that wasn't the case. But I do think maybe you were right. And this is where maybe I was wrong. It's like maybe Fennec and Boba are already in cahoots somehow.
Yeah, I think that they may already know each other.
They may already know each other.
And that's why he saves her in
Fennec
Mandalorian.
and Boba don't know. Neither of them know that Omega is a first generation clone. I don't think. But you're right. Yeah, if you go back to Mandalorian, maybe that's his entire motivation. Now, why is he stalking Fennec in the desert of Tatooine? I don't know. But and how he's able to find her in the perfect moment to give her a robotic heart or whatever he gave her. I don't know. But yeah, I think they might be in cahoots at this point. And I think they were kind of hinting to that.
I think they're connected prior to what we see in Mandalorian. But again, we're going to have to see. Boba's obviously going to show up in Bad Batch at some point. At what point, I don't know. But whether or not they tie Fennec and Boba together in this story will be very interesting. Because again, they're making all these setups that are going to pay off in the Book of Boba Fett. With that in mind, Hidden Scribble sent me like an essay. So we're going to have to just pick out the most interesting points. So I'm sorry, Hidden Scribble, because this is a lot, but let's see what you had to say. So there are two things that I'm going to comment on here. So Hidden Scribble says, so I don't believe for 1 second that the only reason Lama Su wants Omega is her pure, unaltered Jango Fett DNA. If this is all he needed, why not just call it Boba Fett? If they can manage to hire a bounty hunter new to the scene like Fennec, why not just pay Boba, one of the best bounty hunters in the galaxy, who literally grew up on Kamino, to come and give some DNA? I don't think Boba wants anybody to know where he is or what he's doing. And I don't think he exactly has a great relationship with the Kaminoans to make him want to come back.
No, absolutely not. I don't think you can tell. I mean, even in not Clone Wars, Attack of the Clones, he doesn't really like living there. You can tell he's a surly little kid.
Yeah.
But when was the last time we saw him in Clone Wars? Was it the Bossk episode?
It had to be with the arc. I might be wrong on this. So if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. It had to be with the arc with Ventress. When Ventress like joins him and his merry band of bounty hunters to go retrieve the princess or whatever.
Right.
I think that may have been the last time we saw Boba.
Yeah, I think he's trying to lay low.
I do too. Yeah. I can't imagine that he'd want to go back to a place that I don't think he liked. So that reminds him of his father.
It's like, I wouldn't want to live there. I'd move to Tatooine before I moved to Kamino with all those creepy long neck weirdos.
On the topic of those creepy long necked weirdos, Hidden Scribble goes on to say, not even Nala Se is fully aware, but Lama Su's plan to show Kamino's worth to the Empire isn't just by making better clones. It's by proving his worth directly to Palpatine himself. Lama Su knew of Order 66, and I think he has direct ties to the Emperor and is working for his contingency plan of creating a Force-sensitive clone.
Yep, I agree with that. He had to have known. They put the chips in them. So, yeah, I mean, he knew all along. He's kind of a scumbag.
Yeah, Lama Su sucks, dude. He's not
he got a lot of character development from stupid, creepy weirdo Lama Su, we don't like him anymore. And I don't think I liked him before. I just like his cool voice. He has a cool voice. But other than that, not a fan.
Admiral Dark, and I can't even do an impersonation of the Kaminoans. Well, they have such a disinterested way of speaking. It's really funny.
It's great. That's what makes Star Wars Star Wars. It's so unique and cool. It's like you don't think people can talk like that, right? And it's
right.
It sounds alien. It's the same thing with like the Cantina Band, and I love this example. The Cantina Band is like a meme, right? Like people think it's funny and weird and stupid. But when I first seen Star Wars, that was like one of my favorite scenes, the Cantina scene. I'm sure it is the same with a lot of listeners and a lot of Star Wars fans because it built the world so well. And the thing is, that song, it's clarinets essentially. And it's a big band, but it sounds alien. It doesn't sound real. It sounds like they're actually playing with these weird bassoon looking things,
Right.
And that's what's so unique about Star Wars. They're able to take regular, ordinary human things and make them sound and feel like they are from another galaxy. It's the same thing with like Lama Su's voice. Like those little details matter. Like that's really what sucks you into the world. And that's what makes it such a creative, awesome story.
It's all about the tiny details. It's like you keep saying every single episode.
Well, that's why I was like mad about the
police
sirens. Because all the other things they do are so well done, but like you couldn't do different police sirens. They have to be red and blue. Like it's an easy thing to change. I'm not actually mad about it, but it's just funny to me because the other details and everything are so good. And even like, as much as I don't like the sequels, like The Force Awakens with the weird little bread cube, that Rey has, and she puts it in the water and it becomes a little bread thing. Like that's so creative and cool, right? So and like the Banthas even, they kind of look like something from Earth, but not really. It looks like, it's believable to see that evolution took place on another planet where these, giant ram woolly mammoth things. I just think it's a cool element of Star Wars. They can consistently keep, the details tidy and they spend time on them. So tying it back to Lama Su, his voice, cool voice. He's a meanie.
Sleazy character. Yeah. Very sleazy. On that topic of, stories throughout Star Wars, Lord Licorice 1977 says, oh man, I relate to this. Lord Licorice 1977 says, the story won't connect to the Rise of Skywalker because I am in denial. And you know what? I got to be honest. I'm the same way because on the one hand, I'm just full disclosure here, guys. I'm not a sequel trilogy fan. I have never been a sequel trilogy fan. I think they undid everything that Star Wars set up prior. And so with all these news stories that are coming out that are so good, I'm on the fence because I can't tell if I just want them to completely retcon it or if I want them to fix it and try to make it actually work within the story. So I personally relate to that because I don't have a great relationship when it comes to the sequel trilogy.
No, I don't. I'm not a sequel fan either, but I don't think you should just ignore them. Like the Solo movie, let's just pretend that never happened. That movie stinks. Okay. And I'm sorry if that's a controversial opinion. Some people will be mad at me for saying that. Stinks. And I'm just the only good part of that whole movie is the end when Maul comes in, right?
Hey, you're allowed to have that opinion.
But the sequel is like, look, I wanted to like them so bad. I tried my hardest. I went in with the full intention of loving them. And they missed the mark so bad, in my opinion. I agree with you. They kind of undid everything Star Wars did. However, they are redeemable, in my opinion. So it's the same way that the prequels weren't amazing. Phantom Menace is not a good movie, right? Of the prequels, it's probably the worst one, but we get cool characters there, right? Qui-Gon, my favorite character. You get young Obi-Wan. That's great. You get Darth Maul, one of the coolest bad guys, up there with Darth Vader, in my opinion, of best bad guys of all time. But they've helped fix them in the Clone Wars. And so I'm thinking some of these shows can help kind of fill in those gaps that the sequels didn't really necessarily hit. And we're already kind of seeing that with Luke Skywalker in Mandalorian, right? So they could maybe do some more character development there to help kind of show his character and give him more of a complete finish. Same thing with Han. There's a possibility of doing that as well. Instead of like this weird divorced dad who still lives with, like that was such a weird vibe they gave Han. Luke's a weirdo drinking breast milk from a giant sea manatee.
I will never get over how much I hate that.
Yeah, but I think there's a chance to help fill in some of those gaps. Not necessarily redeem them completely, but help complete the story.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in a weird boat with it. I just love the new Star Wars content that's come out within the last year and a half has been great, save for Rise of Skywalker, which I thought was just a fire. But I digress. We won't get into that right now. But yeah, I can't tell. I mean, again, I think the storytelling is going in a really nice direction right now. So we're going to have to see. I don't know if I'm ever going to completely like the sequels, and I'm okay with that. But what they're doing right now with Star Wars is very good, and I'm enjoying it a lot. So,
I agree. They're nailing it.
So I think those are all the questions that we have this week. Once again, guys, thank you for sending in your questions. We love reading them, love sharing them, and we're happy that you like to theorize with us. So thank you.
Yeah, keep sending them in. And I think that's a good note to end on, like, positive. Look, I realize there's people listening to the show who probably love the sequels, and that's okay. It's just like you're allowed to have differing opinions on things. And some people hated the sequels, some people really love them. And if you like them, more power to you. I don't want it to be a division of don't hate us for not liking them. Star Wars fandom can be a little toxic sometimes in their disagreements, but we're here to be fans at the end of the day, and we're here to try to find the good things in the show, right, and point out things and give good theories and stuff. So that's what we're trying to do, and I think Bad Batch is doing a great job of filling in some gaps, and I think Mandalorian did an excellent job of filling in some gaps, and I think we're going to continue seeing that. So I'm always going to look for the best in things. I think you are too, but overall, I'm happy with the way things are going.
Yeah, well said.
And that's my positive note of the day. So I think that's a good note to end on. Anything else to add before we let him go?
I don't think so. All I can say is Bad Batch is really planting the seeds for what's going to go down in Mandalorian season 3 and Book of Boba Fett. And I think we're going to get some really big stuff with Book of Boba Fett in the fall here because of what's going on in Bad Batch right now.
Great.
Awesome work by Lucasfilm Animation and the writing team. Everybody's just killing it over there. This show continuously blows my mind week by week. So I can't wait to see where the second half of the season is going.
Yeah, great job, Lucasfilm people, and come on our show. So that's it.
Yes, come talk to us about what you do. We want to share your stories. So please come on the show.
Come on the show. But then I guess that's it. So don't forget, we have to say this, but if we don't say it, you guys aren't going to remember. So like and subscribe. Follow us on YouTube. Drop a comment. We talked with everyone. We respond to every comment. So drop a comment, email us, follow us on Twitter or Instagram. We're at @star_wars_pod on both. And keep sending in your questions and stuff. And we'll see where these things keep going. It's going to get better and better, Melissa, as more and more shows come out. So I'm excited. I think it was, Star Wars really took a good turn around in the right direction with Mandalorian. And I think it's only going to get better and better. So we're excited. And I can't wait for more content to come out, and we'll keep talking about it. And we'll be here with you guys. This is the Bad Batch series of Another Star Wars Pod. And we're going to finish this one up in the next month or so and then move on to the next one. So it'll be exciting.
Should be good, guys. Stay tuned. Again, we got some big stuff coming.
Melissa and I'll be together, so don't miss that episode.
Yes, that's right. We will be together. So we will see you guys next week in the same room, recording at the same time. So stay tuned for that episode because that's going to be a big one.
See you guys next week. Bye.
Peace out.